Today we'll be looking at a very interesting topic, which is glorified a lot, and that is a server. When we say a server, what is the first thing that pops up in your mind? A very big box kept in a large room? But wait, that's not the case every time. A server can be as small as a laptop or your PC on which you are watching this video. To know more, watch the video till the end. Hello and welcome to my Architecting on AWS series. In the last tutorial, we got used to with the Amazon S3 service and saw a simple use case of hosting a static website. If you have not watched it, I will give a link in the description or a card at the top. You may be confused by the thing that I just said, that a laptop can be a server. So it can do all the things that big servers can do? Yes, definitely. Server is just a simple computer, but with lot more processing power. Then you would ask, can small scale tasks like my personal website or very small business application can be done using by my laptop? The answer is actually yes and no. Let me clarify. You can set up and host everything for your customers and use your laptop exactly as a server. But there is a catch here. Are you willing to keep your laptop or PC turned on 24/7? The answer would be obviously no. For robustness, you need a computer that stays on for a complete time period of a year or more, until the maintenance task comes up. And that's where the production environment comes in. These servers or computers have the latest release of application installed and is used by public users. Handling of all these production servers is not an easy task. You have lots of things to do. You would need to set up the hardware, install the OS, do all the patching, configure the network, install the application, and then your users can use it. Don't forget about the maintenance later. And after doing all this, if your application does not get traffic, then all the servers are for waste, as you would need to pay for the electricity and all the other things. To ease our work, AWS Elastic Cloud Compute Service comes in short EC2, and says, what if you get the PC from us on the rent? Run whenever you need it and set it down when you are done. And you will just pay for the server time you use. Each PC that AWS provides us, we call it an instance. So the number of PCs is equivalent to number of instances. Now there are various types of instances available, and based on our need, we can select which one to use. We will look at that in the next part. Enough of theory. Let's see how we can get a server in AWS. We have the main AWS console, and we know there are different dashboards for different services. So first we'll go to the EC2 dashboard. You can search for this service and click on EC2. One thing to note here is that this service is region based, and we can verify this in the top right corner. We can select a specific region for the instances. Whereas in S3 service we saw, it was a global service, so it was not region specific. Now you can select instances from left nav bar. Here we can see all the instances that are currently running. Let's start by creating an instance. For creating an instance, we have 7 basic stages. First stage is selecting the AMI. Second is selecting the instance type. Then we configure the instance details, add the storage, define a tag, add it to a security group, and then review and launch. Let us start with the first step, which is choosing the AMI. AMI is a template that contains the software configurations, which includes operating system, application server, and applications that are required to launch your instances. What it basically means is, what will be the thing that would be running under the hood? It's just a PC, so it needs an operating system, right? So we can search for any machine which we want, like Ubuntu, Linux, or Windows. After finalizing the AMI, we need to choose the type of instance. Based on our requirement of processing power, memory, and storage, we can choose the type of instance. Basically, we have these 5 to 6 types of instances. General purpose instances have the ability to burst all the performances, and it handles burstable workloads better. Compute optimized instances are considered ideal for compute bound application, that benefit from the higher performance processors like in batch processing workloads, media transcoding, high performance web servers, etc. Memory optimized instances are designed to deliver the fastest performance for workloads that process large datasets in the memory. Accelerated computing instances are best found to be used where you want to have high processing capabilities that are supported by GPUs. Storage optimized instances are designed to work with workloads that require highest order of sequential read and write accesses to the huge datasets on local storages. Dense storage of Amazon EC2 instances are specifically designed to store and process huge amounts of data in multi-terabytes. So if you scroll down, you would see all the types of categories which are available. And in each category, you have numerous types of instances from which you can select. For now, I will stick with T2.micro. This is also a reason because it also includes the free tier. Next step, we have configuring the instance details. We will handle basic things for instance configurations. First, we have the number of instances. For now, I will stick with 1. Next, we have VPC, in which we need to create these instances. I will make a completely different video on what VPC exactly is. But for now, just think of it as a box which separates our resources from other AWS accounts resources. Next, we have subnets, placement groups, IAM roles, etc. The most important thing here is the user data at the bottom. Now, we got a PC, but we need to run our application, right? So we need some default configuration for our application. Like suppose we need Apache server or some other packages. Once specified, every time it creates a new instance, it will have all these configurations by default. We can do this after launching the instances, but to save time, we will do it here. I have a file ready, so I will just copy and paste things. It has some basic commands. Create a simple hello world file. We will not go into those details. Step 4. Adding the storage. Now we need to decide the amount of storage we need. We can also attach the EBS volume after launching the instance or directly here by clicking on add new volume. We will give a storage size of 8 GB as it's a demo. One thing to note here is that if you are launching a Windows server, then you would need to give more storage, approximately around 20 GBs, because operating system of Windows is a bit larger than Ubuntu or Linux. In the next step, we have tags. These are very useful when you have lots of instances. And for differentiating between the instances, we would use tags. I will give it name as demo. Step 6. Security groups. These are very important as these decide who will be communicating to the instances. A security group acts as a virtual firewall for your EC2 instance. It controls the incoming and outgoing traffic. Inbound rules control the incoming traffic, and outbound rules control the outgoing traffic from your instance. For connecting remotely to the instance, we need to keep the SSH selected. Otherwise, we can't connect to it. HTTP and HTTPS is required when we need to take the web request and responses in return. For now, I will create a new security group, and we can see the type below like SSH. This would be required when we would be logging into our system. Step 7. Review and launch. Here you will see all the settings that you have configured until now. Before launching the instance, you can get the overview of what all the things you have selected. On pressing the launch, you will be asked for a key pair details. These are important to connect to the EC2 instance, which helps in authentication. That is, the only people having this key will be able to connect to the EC2 instance. If you already have a key pair, you can use that. Otherwise, you can also generate a new. I will be generating a new key pair. For generating, give it a name, download the private key, and the public key will remain with the AWS. And click on launch. You will get the machines running in a few minutes. If you need to see the details of the instance, you can select the instance and you will have all the details at the bottom, like the instance ID, instance type, DNS, public and private IPs, etc. Now if you go to public IP address, you won't get anything because we need to configure the inbound and outbound connections, or in short, the security groups. So go to security groups of the instance. For getting a response from our website, we need to allow HTTP or HTTPS inbound connections. Once we do that, we can view our web application. Last thing we have in the instances is that shutting down or terminating the instances. If you want to shut down the instance, you can go back to the dashboard in the running instances, select the instance, and from actions, you can terminate the instance or shut it down. If you are launching an instance just to experiment, do not forget to terminate your instance. Otherwise, you may be billed for the instance that is left on. Anyways, if you have a free tier, then too, it is better to terminate the instance. In the next video, we will look at various ways in which we can connect to the instances with browser, SSH, etc. We will also take a look at file handling, that is sending and receiving data and files from your local machines to the instances and vice versa. We will also take a look at ways how we can reduce the cost of these EC2 instances. So that's all for this video, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, press the bell icon as more videos are coming so that you get notified. Until then, take care and goodbye.